Hi there, this is the Solitary Ronin from Solitary Ronin Films, and welcome to another random review. Today I would like to talk about Violent Cop. This is Takeshi Kitano's 1989 debut, and Kitano started as a comedian, but you wouldn't actually know this from his features. This is a very bleak film, a very nihilistic film. It might not be as expressive or as colourful as, say, Sonatine or Dolls or Hanabi, but it is one of my favourites just because of its bleakness and because of its nihilism. It's more greys and blacks. This is a release by Film Movement, a US label. And it's a really nice print, apart from a couple of dark scenes where there's a bit of grain in the black. But again, as far as I know, this is the only Blu-ray release. They also have Boiling Point, his second film, which I'll have to purchase at a later date. So this is it's a standard story, along the lines of Dirty Harry and various other cop films, about a cop who's a bit rough around the edges in his personal war with a drug dealer, and his struggles to cope with his mentally disabled sister. And again, the title is Violent Cop, and again it's more a look at cinema violence and screen violence, because violence is a strange thing in films. When you do stylized violence, when people are killed and the hero gives a witty one-liner, as in James Bond or 80s action films for example, people don't have a problem with it. But then when people show violence as it is, which is nasty and brutal and sudden and random, people tend to have more of a problem with those films. So for example, there's a scene in Violent Cop where Kitano starts with stylized violence. It's a struggle between two men, it's in slow motion, there's a score, but then with the swing of a baseball bat it cuts to normal speed, and it's just brutal. And he does kind of make lots of comments about violence in the film as far as how it's shown. The scenes where it's shown off camera and it's just people's faces reacting to it. But in general the violence is in your face, and again it's random, it's sudden, and this is something that goes through all of his films. So even without making stylized violence, because he does so many action sequences that are just brief, sudden bursts of violence, that's almost become his style. So for example, there's a fight in a street between two other men, and a gun goes off and shoots a bystander. Again, it's not done in slow motion, it's not done with music over it, it's just bang, dead, move on, and it's quite shocking. But that's the reality of violence. Violence isn't slow motion, and this is just a wonderfully bleak film. Kitano's acting style is not for everybody. He's not the most expressive actor, but he is just unbelievably cool. To me, he's very similar to Robert Mitchum. I mean, Mitchum once said that he doesn't really act, he just turns up and speaks the lines, which is a little bit underselling his acting ability, and I think that's the same with Kitano. There's a lot of stillness in his performances. There is a lot of black humour, and even in this film he smiles once or twice. Can you believe that? Yeah, I mean, probably not my favourite Kitano film, but it's certainly up there. And if you like cop films, if you don't mind sudden violence, then Violent Cop is well worth checking out. And again, it does have that line of fatalism and nihilism that Kitano's films and Kitano's characters in his films have, which is very kind of like noir. You know, the characters just have kind of one road they can go. They're usually forced by events. They're usually funneled down that road, and it generally doesn't end well. So yeah, I just thought I'd have a little chat about Violent Cop. At some point I will be doing a top 10 Kitano, because his films are kind of split between the films he's in himself and the films that he's directed that he's not actually in. And he does have a couple of really good ones that he's not actually in, but in general terms his best films are the ones that he's in, because he's such a great presence, with that wonderful shambling walk that he has, and that wonderful face. Of course, this is almost 30 years old, so he looks really young, and he doesn't have that scar that he got in the mid-90s from his motorcycle accident. So yeah, Violent Cop, if you haven't seen it, please try and check it out, and if you have, let me know in the comments what you thought of it. So if you liked this video, please leave a like, please subscribe if you want to see more videos, and this is the Solitude Ronin saying thank you very much for watching and have a good evening.